I'd like to welcome real estate investment coach here at GRE, Naresh, back onto the show. He and I are going to talk about available properties that he's going to be able to tell you about, and you will have first crack at them. Naresh, welcome back.
Hey, Keith. Always a pleasure. We had a really good episode last time, so I hope this one's even better.
It's been just a few weeks since you were here with me. You let us know then you've been a direct real estate investor since the year 2017. And before we get into those available properties here shortly, it's only been a few weeks, but the real estate market, just like a lot of markets, are so dynamic. We've seen a continued increase in real estate prices. We've seen a continued increase in mortgage interest rates. They've really stepped up pretty sharply. So from your view, what kind of real estate trends do you think investors need to know about today?
Well, number one is I think the appreciation is going to continue. I hear all the time, whether it's stocks or real estate or whatever security, when you see a big run up, there's almost like this given that, oh, you know what, it's going to crash. It's gone up so much, it's just going to crash. And what we've seen throughout history is, yes, you have corrections no matter what the asset class is, but overall, over the long haul, remember, Get Rich Education, you, Keith, me, we're cash flow investors. We're not flipping. We're not buying properties, rehabbing them, flipping them, and then selling them. And that's a riskier ball game, obviously. What we're doing is we're buying and we're holding and we're collecting the cash flow, we're collecting the rent, and we're building equity, and the homes are appreciating. So I think over the long haul, it's still a very good time to get in. Not just for appreciation, but because rents have gone up along with inflation. So you have the cash flow. But on top of that, talking about the short-term play, at least within the next 12 months, I once again do not see this market crashing. I don't see it correcting. Maybe it can cool 9-10 months down the road. But right now, given all the global issues, the supply chain problems, I mean, China's shut down again. The war in Ukraine and the Russia situation, nothing's really been resolved there. So the supply chain issues are very much a problem. The labor shortage, it's gotten somewhat better. It's proving that the pandemic, people thought, oh, you know, people are scared to go back to work because of COVID. That's not really the case. So because of all these different factors, and then hot markets right now, our hottest market is Florida. And I think the hottest state in the country for real estate is Florida as well. We're not seeing a slowdown as far as migration goes, people moving down to Florida. People are still trying to come down here, whether it's for snowbird season or permanently to move out of their residence in a colder area in the Northeast. They're still trying to move down here. So we have many Florida properties available, new constructions, short-term rentals, waterfront homes with HOAs that are just really nice, homes without HOAs. Florida is still the hot spot, and I expect appreciation to continue in Florida and rents to rise in Florida and really throughout the country as well.
Now, you heard Naresh say down here. Naresh is in the Tampa, St. Pete metro area in West Central Florida. That's where he's located. And yeah, you bring up a lot there, Naresh. I talked about higher prices and higher interest rates. But of course, rents are appreciating at a terrific rate as well. Zumper's recent rent report tells us that on a national basis, one-bedroom rents are up 13% year over year, and two-bedroom rents are up 15% year over year. And unlike something like mortgage rates that often rise and fall, and if you own a property and interest rates fall, of course, you can go ahead and refinance at that rate. And if interest rates continue to soar higher, well, you can just stay locked in. But really, the thing with rents, when rents rise, is rents are what they call downside sticky. Rents rarely fall significantly. In fact, during the global financial crisis of 2008 to 2010, the rents on my properties did not go down. I experienced this personally. And, you know, I really think it comes down to where else do you think you can really invest today? And you've got to have a sense of urgency to invest in inflationary times. If the real rate of inflation is 10%, if you put $1 in your wallet a year ago today, that dollar only has 90 cents of purchasing power today. And it's only going to have about 80 cents of purchasing power next year if you don't do something with it. So we talk about where else could you invest other than real estate. I think it's very important to compare that. With stocks, the long-term rate of return on the S&P 500 is something like maybe 10%. Well, inflation has just taken all of that away. Cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, maybe, maybe not. In fact, a lot of people are questioning if Bitcoin is even working very well as an inflation hedge right now with what's happened in the past year and a half with the Bitcoin price not going up very much. Gold, that's more of a long-term store of value after you've already accumulated wealth. No one's really going to get wealthy because they own gold. So I really think that leaves real estate, because there are 5 ways you're paid with it, as really the one that still stands out. And higher interest rates and higher prices, that's constrained cash flow for sure. We've seen a compression in cap rates. The thing I would bring up to you when you compare real estate to everything else that's out there in the landscape is, look, what if something doesn't cash flow with a 20% down payment? What if, just what if, you made a 40% down payment on real estate? Now, I don't like that as much because your leverage ratio just went from 5 to 1 down to 2.5 to 1. But it's really compared to everything else that's out there. If you did that, if you made a 40% down payment, you'd have 2.5 to 1 leverage. You'd still have cash flow. You'd still have principal pay down made by the tenant. You'd still have the tax benefits, and you still have the inflation profiting benefit, albeit on a 60% loan rather than an 80% loan. So you're still paid all 5 ways. Do I like 40% down more than 20% down? No, I absolutely don't. But it's really a question that you need to ask yourself. Compared to everything else out there, could you do any better than that?
Well, a couple of things. It's very, very important, once again, like you said, to compare what's available. The last thing you want to do is have your money just sitting in a bank account when inflation is at 9%, because the money in that bank account is losing value by the day. Now, when it comes to stocks and crypto, I mean, we've seen crypto, it's down 15% over the last week. And it's down 50% over the past 8 months or so. Today alone, stocks, one of the indices went down close to 4% in one day. And over the past week, it's down 5%. S&P, Dow, NASDAQ, all down at least 5% over the past week. Biggest thing for me is that with real estate, you can sleep well at night, at least the type of real estate that we try to promote here, that we try to teach here, which is mostly single family homes, a little bit of smaller multifamilies. These are rehabbed properties for the most part. Nothing speculative. We're going for cash flow. And if we get appreciation, if we get the 3 to 4% appreciation a year, we're more than happy with that. But over the last 2-3 years, we've seen a lot more than that. I told you before the show that in Florida, if you bought a property before the pandemic in 2019, or really in 2019, you're up at least 50%. If you bought your property before 2050, you're up more than 150%. There are more and more renters being added to the market. And that's why even during downtimes, rents will likely go up, because all those people are going to become renters. And all that does is increase the supply of renters, which then pushes up the price because there's only a fixed number of real estate available to rent out.
Yeah, I like being in an asset class where you can play both sides at this time of higher prices and higher interest rates. That wannabe first-time home buyer, oftentimes they try to amass that down payment in that monthly payment amount. And when they find that they can't stretch it and do it anymore because of those factors, they fall back into the renter pool, which is good for us as investors. Again, you want to be in an asset class where you can play both sides of this. Well, Naresh, as a real estate investment coach here, your services come free. Our viewers here can contact you. We'll tell them how here at the end of the show, and you can connect them with properties, and your coaching comes completely free for them as well. So why don't you shortly here tell us about the available properties you have? Are they 1 to 4 unit properties, long-term rentals versus short-term rentals in the portion of the country, and so on? Let us know what's available. People want to know. We have such a low supply. We're talking about what's up, what's down with all these indicators. Supply is down, but we have some.
We've got a lot, and it's really a mix of everything. It just depends on what people want. And to give you an idea, I'm pulling up a spreadsheet in front of me of what we have available. We have pre-construction homes. So these are homes that they haven't even broken ground on, which I think we're actually going to bring on somebody in a couple of weeks who's going to talk about pre-construction, essentially waterfront short-term rentals in Southwest Florida. And just a really, really good opportunity. We've already gotten some GRE clients under contract there, and lots are selling out very quickly. So stay tuned for that episode. But there's also new construction homes that are being complete by the end of May, and they're available for sale. And all around, we have places in Memphis, Tennessee, and Texas, and Florida, and Alabama, the Birmingham area, high-end short-term rentals that cost up to $2 million. We have lower price short-term rentals in places like Green Bay, Wisconsin, where it's a short-term rental hub given the Packers. And we got some properties there. We have properties in Kansas City, South Bend, Indiana, Indianapolis, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, fully rehabbed properties, as is properties, new constructions, townhomes. We just have so much inventory available. So I highly recommend people reach out to me, Naresh at GetRichEducation.com. That's Naresh, Naresh at GetRichEducation.com. I'd love to share all the inventory that we have available. Stay tuned once again later in the month for that Southwest Florida waterfront pre-construction opportunity. I actually think this is probably one of the best opportunities that we're going to have all year. So definitely recommend that.
We do have interest-only loans available through Chaley Ridge at Ridge Lending Group. So that's an option for you too. I recently did a video about the benefits of interest-only loans that a lot of people don't understand here on the channel. So you sure can go ahead and check that out. But Naresh, before you go, I'd like to hear about at least a couple other sample properties with their prices. And while you're looking into that, maybe quickly, I can explain some of the differences between long-term rentals and short-term rentals, because Naresh, you talked about the differences between new construction and renovated property. With long-term rentals, like where tenants are renting typically 6 months or longer at a time, that's about the definition of a long-term rental. Typically, you're going to have more income stability over time, and you're going to have higher occupancy. And with short-term rentals, those renting a property for less than 6 months, often it's just days or weeks at a time, they can be more profitable than long-term rentals as long as your occupancy is good. But one thing to remember with short-term rentals is they're deemed to be less recession resilient than long-term rentals. That's because short-term rentals like Airbnbs and VRBOs, they tend to cater to two types of tenants: business travelers and vacationers. And both of those tenant types are less resilient in a recession. So those are some of the pros and cons of long-term rentals versus short-term rentals. We have both types available. Naresh, do you have a couple sample properties with prices that you can tell us about?
Yes, I do. So right now, and I also want to stress this because this is very common with our clients who come in. When I share my recommendations or promote something, those properties go very, very quickly. When I say very quickly, if I send out an email, if you want to get on my hot list to get properties in real time, I can add you to that list. When I send out an email, the property that I'm promoting or the properties that I'm promoting generally sell literally within 5 minutes.
You got to act quick.
That's how competitive it is. So if you think, oh, I got this email, I'm going to go on Zillow and I'm going to go on Google and Google Earth and then call this person and call my lender and do all this stuff. And then you get back to me 2 days later, or even 1 day later, or even 2 hours later, you've missed out on a deal because you're competing with so many other people, not just within our network, but some of these properties are available on the MLS. They're available through other networks. So they go really, really quickly. So with that being said, we've gotten several properties in Kansas City, Missouri, and in Indianapolis, Indiana, which just make a lot of sense. And to give you an idea, for example, and look, by the time this airs, who knows if these properties are going to be available, but I just want to give you a sense of the types of properties that are coming available every other day. I mean, literally every other day, we're getting new inventory with similar numbers like this. So first, let me share a duplex that I really like in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's in Indianapolis proper. So it's in a major market, major city, high population. Vacancy is not a problem because if a tenant leaves, then easy to replace them. A lot of industry business going on in Indianapolis. We have a duplex that's available for $199,000. It's fully turnkey, fully rehab. And when something is fully turnkey or rehab, the providers who we work with, they do everything possible to make sure that every nook and cranny is fixed. So they're trying to basically rehab the property so that it looks brand new. Now this duplex, it was built in 1910, so it's not brand new. It's over 100 years old. But the point that I'm making here is, yes, it is an older property, but we work with people who do everything under their power to make it look nice, to put good tenants in there. And so it's a $199,000 property that cash flows at, remember, it's a duplex. It cash flows at $438 a month. So we're talking about a down payment of about $50,000 and a cash on cash return that's in the low double digits. So that's a pretty solid deal in a good area. Another property that I like a lot is a single family home in Kansas City, Missouri. Once again, Kansas City, similar to Indianapolis in the sense that in that Midwest area, and also a big city. Tenants, not a problem. Population growth, not a problem. This is a home that sells for $166,000, has a cash on cash return of close to 10%. Again, single family, built in 1919. So it is older, but you do have the really prime location in Kansas City, Missouri, compared to some other, their properties in cities that you've never heard of that might be a little riskier because of, you just don't know what the industry is like there. You don't know if people are going to move there or if people even live there. So that's what I like about our providers, our partners in Kansas. We have them in Kansas City, in Indianapolis, and then Cleveland's a huge market for us too. I mean, we do a lot of business in Cleveland, constantly getting duplexes, triplexes. We have one triplex available in Cleveland for $295,000. So once again, just a wide array of properties. These are all older properties. Bellevue is a town in between Ocala and the Villages. The Villages that's the fastest growing city in America. It's
talking Central Florida here.
Yep. It's the largest retirement community in the country as well. I've visited myself. The place is amazing. So Villages is a 55 and up community. They do not allow anybody under 55 to live there, and you have to pretty much be a permanent resident. So the people who work in the Villages, though, they're not really 55 and up. You can call them younger people. So where do they live, or where do they, need to live? Bellevue is the place because there's so much industry happening when you have a bunch of wealthy 55 and up individuals living in a small concentrated town. So Bellevue, the property there, definitely recommend that one as well. It's 2,700 square feet. It's a 4.3 2-car garage, rents quite well. And once again, it's not going to be ready until the earliest March of next year. But the way Florida is going, I mean, you're just building equity without the home without you even leasing the property out, because things are appreciating so quickly in Florida.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good sampling from, I guess, vintage properties in the Midwest to new construction properties in the South, and quite a bit more, but just a sampler there. And Naresh, one last thing, before getting a hold of you, what position should a prospective buyer be in? For example, should they be pre-approved for their mortgage loan a while? That's
a really good question. And I also want to go back to the interest-only loans as well, because that's a question that I've been getting a lot from listeners. It's, hey, we saw Keith's video on interest-only loans. If you want to know how to get in touch with a provider or a partner who can help you with that, just email me, Naresh at getricheducation.com, and I'll introduce you to our partner who can help you out with the interest-only loans. Now, the other most common question I get is, okay, I like this home that you sent me, or I want to buy this Bellevue home, or I want to buy this, Kansas City home. What do I do next? It's easy. You get in touch with me, you send me an email, and you tell me, hey, I'm ready to move forward on this. And I'm going to need you to fill out just a small form. It's just very basic information, like your name, your address, your phone number, your email, your lender's name, your lender's phone number, your lender's email address. You send all that information, and you automatically, you fill that out, you're automatically at the top of the wait list if there's already a contract out on the property. If there's not a contract out, you get the property. So basically, you want to fill all that out, because when you send me your lender information and all that, that tells me that you're pre-approved. You don't necessarily need a pre-approval letter, but just knowing, hey, this is my lender, this is my contact at the lending company, this is their information, that's going to speed up the process tremendously. Whereas if you just come in, you don't have a lender, and look, you don't have to go with that lender. It's good to shop around, but the idea here is, are you a serious buyer? You need to qualify yourself as a serious buyer. And the last thing that we want, or that our partners want, is someone coming in, they say, oh, I want to buy something. And then 2 weeks down the road, it turns out they can't get any financing because they never filled out a pre-qual form or a pre-approval form. And then you just wasted everyone's time and really money. So definitely have all that information ready to go.
Sure. Again, Naresh is your real estate investment coach here at Get Rich Education. His services are free, and then he can help tailor your needs and your desires to the property that might be right for you as well. You can reach out to him again at Naresh at getricheducation.com. If you want to be sure to get these future videos, since time is really of the essence with low supply, you're probably already subscribed to the channel here, but you do need to click that notification bell. That's how you can get notified when we have a future properties video like this for you between Naresh and I. Again, if you want to reach out to Naresh, you can do that at Naresh at getricheducation.com. That's Naresh at getricheducation.com. Hey, Naresh, thanks for joining us. It's been valuable as always.
Thank you, Keith. Always a pleasure.